Hello, my friends. Unfortunately, the situation at the front has worsened again today. The Russians have made some advances, but let's start with the situation at the border. In the Kursk direction, the Ukrainian forces continue their attacks in the areas of Korenevo and Alexandrivka. They are trying to create an encirclement around Korenevo. However, it's no longer easy to move forward here. The Russians are trying to stop the Ukrainian forces, and as a result, the front line has remained unchanged for the past 5 days. Beyond this, there has been no more activity reported in the Kursk direction. At least neither the Ukrainian nor the Russian side has reported any. However, it's known for sure that both the Ukrainian forces and the Russians are using FPV drones to target equipment and personnel. In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians continue their attacks near Hlyboke and Ashalan frontline areas, but they haven't achieved any success. In Vovchansk, the fighting continues, but here the Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling all attacks and the frontline remains unchanged. However, there are significant problems not only in the Pokrovsk direction, but also in the area around Chasiv Yar. The Russians have repeatedly broken through to the village of Bila Hora and launched assaults. It has now been confirmed that they managed to establish a foothold there, advancing 2 kilometers and 900 meters. The assaults on Bila Hora, Andriivka, Klishchiivka, Ivanivske, and continued push toward Chasiv Yar are ongoing. The fact that the Russians have managed to extend the front line here is very concerning. They are creating a difficult situation for the Ukrainian forces in the Klishchiivka area, and this advance poses a significant threat to Chasiv Yar and even to Kostiantynivka. Now, only 7 kilometers separate the front line from the outskirts of Kostiantynivka, making the situation increasingly dire. In the Toretsk direction, the Russians have once again managed to advance 1 kilometer and 300 meters near Pivnichne, bringing them even closer to Toretsk and Krimsk. The settlement of Druzhba is now almost entirely under Russian control. Meanwhile, the fighting for Nalipivka continues unabated, making the situation there extremely difficult. In the Pokrovsk direction, the Russians have also made gains. They have advanced 2.5 kilometers across the fields near Novhorodivka. A relatively large section of the front has come under their control, which is negatively impacting the defense of the northern part of Svatove. This breakthrough indicates that the Russians are in a hurry, and despite not yet securing the flanks, they are pushing directly towards Pokrovsk. As a result, they are now assault Lysivka, which is just 6 kilometers from Pokrovsk. Meanwhile, Havashalan continues, and the assaults on Svatove and Ukrainsk are ongoing. The Russians are also advancing near Halytsinivka, and Ukrainian soldiers are warning that only 5 kilometers remain until encirclement. This means a retreat from the fields near Krasnohorivka is necessary. If the Russians manage to capture Желанне Перше and Желанне Друге, they will reach the water barrier and the encirclement will be complete. The situation here is also catastrophic. And here, the Pokrovsk direction gradually transitions into the Kurakhove direction. The fighting near Krasnohorivka continues as well. The Russians are desperately trying to advance here to close the encirclement more quickly, but the Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to prevent this, holding on to the outskirts of the city. The battles for Georgiivka and the village of Kostiantynivka are also ongoing. However, after capturing the village, the Russians haven't made any further advances for several days. Given that the Pokrovsk direction is scrambling daily and the advance of the Russians has yet to be stopped, the commander of the Azov regiment predicts that at this rate, the Russians might decide to move toward the Dnipropetrovsk region. The loss of Pokrovsk could have extremely serious consequences for Ukraine, says Maxim Zhorin, former commander of the Azov regiment. If that happens, the Russian army will have several options for further offensive actions. First, to advance in the Donetsk region towards Konstantinivka, Drushkivka, and Kramatorsk. Second, to move south, where they could try to encircle our forces. And third, to advance toward the Dnipropetrovsk region. In my opinion, the first two directions are more likely for the Russians than moving into Dnipropetrovsk. But if they take Pokrovsk, the possibility will certainly open up for them, the soldier wrote. In the Vuhledar area, the Russians have also intensified their actions. Here they are trying to break through the main defense lines at Vuhledar and Velika Novosilka to gain operational space and fully capture the Donetsk region. As a result, there is ongoing fighting for Vuhledar, Vodiane, Velika Novosilka, and Makarivka. The situation is very challenging, but so far the Ukrainian forces have managed to hold the defense and the front line has remained unchanged over the past day. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, battles are ongoing near Robotyne, and as before, the Russians are attempting to break through to Malotokmachka. However, they have had no success and the front line remains unchanged. In the Kherson direction, shelling of the right bank continues unabated, with assaults near Kozachye Lageri reported daily. Despite this, there have been no changes along the front line in this area. Now let's move on to the Siversk direction. The Russians have claimed to capture Vyiimka, but the Ukrainian side hasn't yet officially confirmed this advance. However, reports from Ukrainian forces on the ground indicate that the village is indeed under the control of the Russians, meaning they have advanced approximately 2 kilometers. It has also been reported that fighting is ongoing near Zvanivka, Vyiimka, Verkhnyokamensky, and Spirne. As we can see, after prolonged battles, the situation here is also beginning to gradually worsen. In the Kreminna direction, attacks on Nevsk continue, and there is fighting in the Serebryanka forestry. However, the Ukrainian forces are still successfully repelling all attacks, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Svatove area, fighting continues for Berestove, with Russian forces attempting to break through the fields toward Lozova. Similarly, further south, battles are ongoing for Novhorodivka, with attempts to advance toward Kharkivka. However, over the past day, the Russians haven't achieved any success and the front line remains unchanged. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians continue trying to expand the territory they control near Synkivka to get closer to Kupiansk. Further south, the fighting for Novosinovo, Glushkivka, and Kolesnikivka continues. Here, the Russians have had more success, and the southern flank has been significantly extended. As a result, the situation in this direction is becoming increasingly tense. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.